and your background and where you're from, and how'd you hear about us? Because in this space, it's all about collaboration and building capacity amongst ourselves. So if you all could start off while we're waiting on others. Someone want to start off for me?
I can start on
Thank
my
you.
camera. So, Melinda McCarthy. I am one of the thousands of federal employees that are being um, let go from the federal government. I am a core at CDC, um, 20 years of core experience, contracting officer representative.
Thank
And so, I'm excied to be here today to learn about how I can maybe be on the other side of
you.
government contracting.
And how'd you hear about us?
So there is a group of us that through the school platform, we
Mhm.
have a pathways, kind of a community that we are all kind of pooling together, different things that we're hearing about to help us figure out the next phase of what we're going to do after government service. And just happened to mention that I'm looking for government service, and a colleague mentioned this.
Okay,
Um,
well, we
yeah,
thank you for your commitment and your public service to us. So thank you.
thank you.
Miss Johnson, unmute yourself. Yes.
Greetings. I am Barbara Johnson. I'm in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And I met Miss Paula at the Union City event a few weeks ago. So I'm here to learn about government contracts in the education and training space. I'm actually on my way to church, but I didn't want to miss this meeting. So I'm going to have my camera off, but I'm definitely going to be listening in.
All right. Thank you and welcome. Shannon Barber, please unmute yourself. Miss Barber. All right. Monique Lell.
Hi, Paula. It's Monic Law. No worries at all.
Morning.
It's
Okay.
it, it's a tough name. So I
Okay.
appreciate it. Hi everyone. So my name is Monic. I'm from Maryland, right outside of the DC area, and I'm the principal of Red Planet Group Inc., a firm specializing in IT modernization for federal and state agencies. And I was recently an employee at Accenture Federal Services and decided to take this leap of faith. And I'm really excited to be here and learn from everyone here. And Paul, I actually I heard about you just going through LinkedIn and understanding who else I can connect with. And because at the end of the day, this business is all about building those relationships. So I'm here to learn and continue learning because there's always more to learn.
Okay.
So excited to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Thank you and welcome. Crystal Rate, can you unmute yourself?
Hi,
Yes.
can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Great. Good morning. Hi, I used to work for CDC. I was one of those individuals that was RIFT.
Mhm.
And as the previous participant mentioned, this was one of the programs that they suggested to us to tap into if we wanted to um, be, I guess, a contractor or work with contracts on the other side, potentially. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that.
Great, great. It may be a blessing in disguise. So I don't think, I don't look at it, whatever's happening right now, as discouraging. I see it all as a blessing. So welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Zhang or Kathy? Can you unmute yourself? Marlene, you're here. Good morning. Introduce yourself. She's an alumni. All right. So nobody wants to unmute themselves. Uh, Miss Williams, Whitney. So y'all just gonna just not talk to me? All right.
Great day, Paula. This is Carla. How are you, sweetness?
I'm good. How are you?
I
Please
am
introduce
wonderful
yourself.
this morning.
Can you introduce yourself to the community?
Yes, I can. My name is Carla Ross. I'm an Army veteran, a
Mhm.
master esthetician of 18 years, and I have my own luxury, wonderful mobile spa, Carla, Map Your Glow by Carla. And I'm here to learn about federal contracts and any other areas that I may have some issues with in this business and scaling.
Okay. How'd you hear about us?
I believe I met you through Corey.
Okay. Yes, I remember. Yes. Google Maps.
Yep, you got it.
All right.
I'm the map maker.
Didn't
Yes,
forget
ma'am.
that. And thank you for your service.
Thank you so much for your support, Paula, and thank you for this wonderful call.
Okay. Ada, welcome. Marlene, I see you've unmuted yourself.
Yes, good morning. I was struggling to get to the mute this morning. Hi, Paula. How are you? Hi, everyone. My name is Marlene Foscue. I'm a former elected official from Gwinnett County, and I am an alumni, but I just wanted to jump on the call just to make sure I haven't missed anything again. And as a
You want me to do this
refresher,
for you? You want
uh,
to do it? You do it? Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sorry.
yeah, and so I specialize in, of course, government contracting, consulting, and public speaking. And so you will learn a lot under Paula's under the GPI and Paula's leadership. And again, I'm just joining in just as a refresher. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to jump in and introduce yourself before we get into the program? Because I have a presentation. I have a lot to cover this morning. Well, I think everybody's been quiet. I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it. Take a lot of notes. I am recording this, so if you want a copy of this, please make sure you put your email and your name into the chat. All right. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you again for taking this Saturday morning off to join me. Again, we are GPI. We love creating millionaires and building generational wealth. Although there is chaos, as we're all experienced with the current administration, I say there's opportunities where there's chaos. And now is the time to prepare and for everyone to mobilize and come together collectively, because that's what government contracts is about. And for me, I always want to ask and make sure people understand why. Why are you getting into business? Because your why is what motivates you to keep going. And for me, my why has been my father. He was one of the first African American police officers in my hometown of North Carolina. After retiring, he ran for city council and saw that there was lands by the projects and decided, found a way to get it funded. And now we have a park in our name in Asheville, North Carolina. He was definitely a community advocate, and I believe I've taken his baton and trying to take it to another level. So if you're an entrepreneur, you need to have something to understand why you're getting into this space and what's driving you. And it has to be, what is your why? I like to always start off with my background. Originally, I'm from Asheville, North Carolina. After college, I went to Washington, D.C., and my first job was with a company that was a part of the 8A program. By show of hands, can you all tell me how many of you heard of the 8A program? If not, we're going to go into a little deep depth about that program and what it really means, because that's really a program that I grew up in and a program to my heart. I ended up taking My first job was with a company that was a part of the 8A program in Washington, D.C. After I left college, again, I went to Washington, D.C. My first job was an event planner with the 8A company. And for me, it all made sense because I was not only planning these events, I was listening to understand how this money flows. I ended up attaching myself to one contract that went through 6 companies. And as I was going through those 6 companies, I was studying them and understanding how really to get into this game. I knew at 25 I was going to own my first business. So after the 6 company at 35, I opened up my first business. The first year in business, I received a $1 million contract. Second year, I applied into the 8A program and received another $3 million contract. And I quickly grew the business to close to 40 employees in 5 years and had almost $15 million in contracts. And that's where the problem began because I really didn't have a clue what I was doing. I went from a project manager to running a multi-million-dollar company with 40 employees and 2 partners. One who felt like he could um, run all his personal expenses through the company. The last straw for me was a $3,000 custom-made pinstripe suit with his initials going down a pinstripe. And I was like, you have lost your mind. So I had my assistant to do a audit on his credit card. He takes her in the elevator and threatens her. I then ended up terminating him. He conspired with 2 employees to sue me and the other partner for sexual harassment, with him being the employee's witness or um, I call them co-conspirators. So after 2 years of attorney fees, $125,000 in attorney fees, 100,000 to buy them out, I had no more operating cash, and I closed the business in 2005. And what that did, it really pushed me to my passion because I realized no one was training small businesses on how to grow and build a business um, to that level. So I started volunteering as a SCORE counselor, which is a resource partner of SBA. I'm very strategic. After 2 years of volunteering, I ran out of money and I applied for a position with SBA. I was hired in the Philadelphia district office, but that office was the office that processed all of the 8A applications. My job was to service the businesses once they got into the program. After 4 years in Philadelphia, I relocated here to Atlanta in 2012. And while I was at SBA, they required us to become certified as a contract specialist. And for me, that was the missing piece. Meaning, I'd run a business for 10 years. I worked at SBA for 7 years, but I really wasn't quite sure what steps the agencies took to actually put those solicitations together for you to compete on. So by becoming certified as a contract specialist, it made it full circle. I've trained more than 10,000 businesses on how to market to the federal government. And to date, we have assisted small businesses to win over 1.5 billion in contracts across various industries. And I've self-published a book called That's Crazy, Recognize Crazy and Run. And it really is based on that first business. The names have been changed to protect the innocent so that you can really understand what's involved in managing a business and hopefully not make some of the mistakes I made in that first business. So what I found, specifically working at SBA and holding workshops and working with many of their resource partners, is that everyone would come to the workshops, and after they leave, they're excited. It's great information. I'm ready to do business with the government. And the same thing with the government agencies. No one really understood SBA's rules and regulations. And I will consistently say, unless you worked on the inside of SBA, no one understands how they operate, which leads to a lot of confusions. And how do you really connect these dots? So what I found is the barriers for small businesses is understanding the government language. The government assumes you understand their acronyms and their language. So I thank you, Melinda, for actually saying what a CORE is. That's a contracting officer representative. And as well as understanding the government's processes. Understanding what certifications do I need and what type of documentation is SBA looking at as you begin to apply into their programs. Also understanding that the government operates in a silo. No one talks to each other. SBA has their website, SAM.gov have their website, which is managed by a different agency. So that's where the disconnect is for these small businesses trying to enter into this space. So based on that is the reason I created this training program. This training program was based on my lessons learned and what I saw studying businesses for 7 years at SBA to create a formula to make small businesses more successful. And the first thing you have to understand is you're not going to limit your business. When I started marketing that first business as an event planning company, one of my mentors pulled me aside and he said, "Why are you pigeonholing yourself?" And when he said that, it made sense based on the companies that I'd gone through and looking at their business model. So I changed my business model to a management consulting firm and built out divisions. I had a admin division, I had an IT division, I had a database division, I had a communications division. Because if you look at how the system is designed, from the education, it's designed for you to be a laborer. No one is teaching you how to run a business. And what I find is most small businesses will start a business on their skill set. Managing a business has nothing to do with your skill set. I'm getting ready to preach to y'all, so y'all can say some amens if you're hearing what I'm saying. Managing a business has nothing to do with your skill sets. If you continue to start a business and operate on your skill set, you're going to remain there. You're never going to be able to grow your business. So in our first module of our program, which is Business Ready, we teach you how to create a business model that's going to be sustainable and not necessarily based on your skill set. Secondly, understanding that collaboration is key. When I look at the 17 people that's online right now, to me, that's a government contract. You get a piece, they get a piece, everybody get a piece. But no one is teaching people on how to collaborate. So in our second module, we put you into teams, and at that stage, I'm the government. You've got to learn how to work out and deliver the deliverables as part of that module. And third, you must have the infrastructure to support that business. What do I mean by infrastructure, someone? This is going to be interactive. What is infrastructure?
Manpower. manpower, equipment.
Anybody else?
Systems.
Huh?
Systems.
Y'all heard I got sued. An accountant and an attorney. Soon as you hire that first employee, or before you hire, you need to make sure you have employment, practice, liability insurance. Employment, practice, liability insurance. Had I had that insurance, that would have covered my lawsuit, the partnership buyout, and I would not have had to pay almost $225,000 to protect myself. So in the end, understand how to protect yourself. Yes, the systems and processes are key in making sure that that business operates, but it's more important that you have an accountant that understands government accounting and an attorney that understands government accounting. And even for me, when I was sued, I was actually dealing with 5 attorneys at one time, not understanding how that even works. Meaning I had a corporate attorney to deal with the business partner. He turned me to the labor attorney once the lawsuit was filed. I actually went through a divorce at the same time, so I got rid of everybody at the same time. The labor attorney was a labor and a divorce attorney, so that worked for me. And then I had to go through a bankruptcy attorney. So understand the business side, because in the end, it has nothing to do with your skill set. Can I get an amen from the church? Let me know y'all still out there.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
Man,
Okay.
a
So
labor and divorce attorney? Like,
yeah.
that's,
Two
those
birds.
go together, huh?
Yeah, just kill it all in one time. I know he was like, what is going on in your life? But anyway, so when you look at the federal government, what is the federal government? When does the federal government's fiscal year begins and ends, someone?
October 1st. It's the beginning. And
October
it's September 30th.
to September 30th. So for you as a small business, there's a peak time and a downtime for you to market to the government. The peak time to market directly to them, I would say October to March. And Melinda, I may be pulling you in on some of this to validate what I'm saying. Because generally from October to February, the government is operating on what they call a continuing resolution. So often people just get disconnected when they're hearing all the fighting in Congress. And what does a CR really means? And what that means is the government is operating on a limited budget. By the time that budget is passed, and it flows down to the agencies, I would say February or March. And the closer you get to September, it's peak bidding time. So right now, we're in peak bidding time. On the contracting side, we would call this Christmas season. Is that your experience, Melinda, and working with how the money flows to your agency?
For sure. Yeah.
Mm.
It takes probably 9 to 12 months to get a contract out from the time we start thinking of it is usually, July, and then it usually gets awarded that next September.
So, very good. And we got extra bonus. Thank you, Melinda, because you're telling it from the side that actually manages the contract.
Yep.
So February to September right now is a fishnet. So I'm telling everybody that's gone through the program and through my school, I'm just posting opportunities because I know that they have to get rid of that money by September 30th. And what I'm currently seeing right now, although they've reduced the workforce, the work has to be done. And the second component is the people that they now having these positions, I can tell by what they're posting that they really don't have a clue what they're doing. And so for me, I said, I'm telling all my small businesses, that's an advantage because all of the institutional knowledge is gone. So the chances of you winning and whoever's reviewing that opportunity on the other side may be a little higher than it normally would be. Would you concur with that, Melinda?
Definitely. They got rid of all of us because we're DEI hires, and what we're seeing is they're replacing them with people that they know are tried and true Republicans, but don't have any actual experience in the field.
They have no experience. So we're getting ready to capitalize on that. We're gonna help them. So all my federal employees that have been ripped, um, you're gonna go back, but they're gonna pay you a whole lot more because what federal employees don't understand is their value to us as a government contractor on the other side. And because you guys have the institutional knowledge and operations of that agency, and every agency operates completely different. So why federal contracts? Because every year SBA negotiates with these agencies where first and foremost, 23% of contracts are set aside for small businesses. 5% for women-owned, 5% for participants in the 8A, 5% for service-disabled veteran-owned businesses, and 3% for HUBs-owned businesses. And so what that means for you, the more certifications you have, you're helping that agency achieve their goal. As an example, let's say you were awarded a contract as a small business for $100,000. That agency now gets $100,000 credit towards their goal. And let's say you are a small business and a woman-owned small business. Now that agency gets $200,000 credit towards their goal. So the more certifications you have, the more you're helping those agencies achieve their goals. And over here, what you're going to see is a scorecard, and they haven't updated it yet for the last fiscal year of how SBA grades each of these agencies. And as you can see, it's a whole lot of money and dollars that are going into each of SBA's programs. And so some of the strategies that I teach is that target some of those agencies that may not have met their goals. You can see here, they fell short, that was in 23, of meeting the women-owned small goal. All of these are now going to be 5%. When President Biden was in office, he increased the goal for small disadvantaged businesses in 8A up to 15%, and they were all on their way achieving those goals, but now it's been reduced to 5%. What I realized when I left Maryland and the DC area and went to Pennsylvania and even moved here to Georgia is that no one outside of that area really understood any of SBA's programs, just based on the number of businesses that are registered in the 8A program. So when you look at the state of Maryland, it was only 627. When you go to Virginia, it's 1,000. So you have roughly 1,700 businesses from the DMV area that are in this program that's a part of the 8A. The challenge, and so what I realized was people were coming from DMV, especially when I moved here to Georgia, and understanding that there was no competition. I did a presentation with California so that California could see the numbers. So what I'm finding, people outside of DMV have no clue. So when you look at the 8A program in the state of New York, it's only 80 businesses in that program. Something is wrong, that we're not getting that information out. And then what you will find consistently is that SBA and their resource partners will tell you you're not ready to compete on a federal level. Stay local and start local and then go to your state and then go to the federal. I completely disagree with that because on the federal side, there are buys that are specifically designated for small businesses that are 250,000 and below. And the competition is not as much. When you look at local and state, you're competing with a whole lot more people in that pool. Where on the federal side, I can win a contract in California and be located here in Georgia. I'm not having to pigeonhole myself in any specific space. And as you can see, I pulled this last week. This is the number of opportunities that was posted as of last week. So as I say, the competition isn't as high. This is the website where opportunities are posted daily. How do you get into this game? First, you self-certify in this database called SAM. SAM is still have a lot of bugs in it. When it was launched, I was still at SBA and we would always call it such a mess, and it's still such a mess. This is the database where you can go in and self-certify as a small business. You can also self-certify as a small disadvantaged business, although most agencies do not use that because once you're in the 8A program, you're automatically classified as a small disadvantaged business. There are only 4 programs that require formal certification, meaning you're submitting an application to SBA and then you're approved by SBA. The 8A program, which is a business development program, the HubZone program, which is designed to build communities, and then you have women-owned and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. To apply into those programs, this is the website that you're going to go to. I'm happy that they've now merged all of these these databases together so that you're not having to apply into separate databases for each of the programs. And what they've done is combine them all into one database. So when you apply for one of the programs, you're not having to upload the same information that maybe the 8A program asked for as it relates to the women-owned program. And that used to drive me crazy working at SBA because I would have to key in the same information into 3 or 4 different databases. So I'm pleased that they have now merged all that into one. The 8A program. This is a program to my heart because I know this has been a program that has changed a lot of communities. It is based primarily on 2 things. You're being socially and economically disadvantaged. And you're in this program for 9 years. It is a business development program. By being in this program, it allows you to be awarded contracts up to $4.5 million with no competition. Did the church hear that? Can I get an amen? Or do y'all understand what I'm saying?
Amen.
Amen to
I did
that.
not understand. Repeat it.
Meaning I can go to, and that's how I grew so quickly. I was getting these non-competitive contracts that again is not advertised anywhere. So once I got on the inside of SBA and understood where to identify these sole source contracts, I was able to help small businesses create a strategy because these opportunities will never be posted on SAM.gov. The Hub Zone program is based on where your business is located. If it's located in an area that's been identified as a historically underutilized business zone, and 35% of your employees reside in a hub zone, not necessarily the same location of that business, then you can qualify into that program. For the social disadvantage component of the 8A program, previously, as long as you were a member of any of these ethnic groups, you automatically met the social disadvantage component. Last year, there was a lawsuit that now requires, they're no longer using the ethnicity to qualify you to meet this component. They're now requiring you to write a social narrative on how you've been discriminated against. And again, to me, it's subjective because whoever's reviewing it is their experiences may not be the same as yours. But you're gonna have to document everything as it relates to being discriminated against. Let's say I'm a female and I went into the bank and I applied for a loan, just being a woman with no color. They denied me. I go to another bank and they approved me. And based on the industry. So if you're in the construction industry, you know women are discriminated against. So you have to be able to provide a preponderance of evidence of how you've been discriminated against for this component of the application. The economic component is based on your net worth. Your net worth cannot exceed $850,000 minus any equity in your home and any equity in your business. So if you have rental property, that equity in those rental properties will be counted against you. Do I have any real estate agents on agents or brokers online? Because if you're in the real estate industry, you can't come in as a broker. And what I recommend most people in this space, that they come in under this industry code, and someone can type that in the chat, 541611. That's a catch-all industry code. That's a management consulting code. That way you're not pigeonholing yourself when you're coming into this program. Any questions? Anyone? No questions?
Well, I just had a question because you said it's less equity in business. So if you have rentals, wouldn't that be under your business? And so it'd be
No.
subtracted out? No?
Rental properties?
Right.
No, that would not necessarily be in your current business. I don't have a problem with multiple entities if you're using that entity to house your real estate. If you have three, and I found this over the years, 3 or 4 entities going on, that's a heartache for me because SBA looks at each of those entities or anything that's tied to your name and you have a legal entity and you have revenue coming in, that's questionable for your approval because part of the approval is that you have to dedicate 100% to the entity that's been qualified into the program. So if you have multiple entities and you have revenues coming into multiple entities, SBA can't determine which entity you are focusing on. Any questions?
I have two questions. The first question is what you just said. So if you happen to have partners in those other entities where the partner is like 90% owner, does that matter, or they still look like you're still part of the entity?
No, that's okay. That's okay. They just want to make sure that you're managing the entity. If you have minimum ownership in other entities, that's not a heartache for me.
Awesome. And then the last question, as a mortgage loan officer, and doing some lending under one of my entities, would that also be under management consultant? Next code?
You can change it. You can change it. And how we look at those NAICS codes is through your tax returns.
Okay.
Okay? Again,
Thank
because
you.
we don't want to pigeonhole yourself in any one specific industry.
So that was my question. So even with that, because not a real estate agent, but as a lender, the management consultant will still be a good NAICS code as far as, the general.
Yes, that's a general code. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Paula, I have a question about the 8A program as a whole. With the new administration, I've heard from different OSDBU offices that I've met with that the 8A program might be getting taken away or just a little haircut to it. Have you heard of something similar?
I have, but I think it's a long way
Okay,
from that. What they're trying to do is dilute the program where it really does not attain the same benefit. But I think because this is the only program that allows sole source contracts, it's going to take a while. What they're
okay,
doing is trying to transfer a lot of the work to GSA. So
right,
our GSA is General Services Administration. And again, it's still partnering. If you don't have those schedules, then you can partner with someone to leverage those schedules.
great. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions?
A quick
The
question.
Yes.
Yes, you have mentioned partnering with someone else. Do you usually, is there a list of folks that have those contracts, or you
Yes,
have to
I
wait
have
until
those
those
schedules.
people
Yes,
reach
there is
out?
a database. Also, what I tell business, especially in this program, and what I saw happening up in DC and continues to happen, um, I don't necessarily like the partnerships arrangements because what I recommend is you can still partner with people, but have separate entities. So when you start getting into a marriage like that, as I've described, it could be a horrible divorce. So what I tell businesses, what you do is always have another company in line that can come in after you graduate from the program. That's how they played in DC. So, and I have a couple of students who have learned the game as well, meaning they got into the 8A program and one did quite well, and her son was coming out of the military. That was about 4 years ago. And I said to her, have him to start his entity, start subcontracting to him, start training him up. And he was 26. Now that she's graduated, he's now in line to come into the program and get another 9 years. At 29, her daughter, who was 23, was like, "What y'all doing? I want to learn." So she came through the program, and her mother, who leveraged state aid to get an Amazon contract in Charlotte, and now she's doing development in her home country in Guyana. The 23-year-old is now managing her Amazon component. This is how we create generational wealth. Are y'all hearing me with the game? Yes?
I hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
You got to
Yes.
understand the game and play the game, right?
So,
Yep.
good morning. I have a question.
Yes.
So what if you have an e-commerce selling used book on Amazon, Walmart, and you have a staffing entity? So you have two LLCs. How would you capitalize on the government contract with those two?
As long as at an 8A, you're only gonna have one. Small business, you can have as many as you want. You just you're just matching with what the government is buying. Mhm. I'm not sure as much as Amazon from the products. That's the third party. Yeah, the staffing that's clean. I'm okay with the clean. Hub Zone program. That's based on where your business is located. There is no term limits on this program, and it applies to purchases over $3,000. You recertify actually every 3 years. I need to update it. In this program, you also get the opportunity to have competitive and sole source contracts as well. The difference between this program and the 8A program, in order for the government to award a sole source contract under this program and the women's and the veterans program, is they have to have at least 2 businesses that are qualified to perform on that contract. That's called the rule of 2. Whereas in the 8A program, that rule does not apply. So you're still competing with another person that you can potentially get a direct award as a sole source. You also get what they call a 10% price evaluation preference, meaning the government will add 10% onto someone else's cost that's not a part of the program. As an example, let's say they had a full and open competitive contract, meaning it's open to everyone, and you submit your bid at $535,000. Someone who's not part of the program submitted their bid at $500,000. The government is going to add 10% onto that $500,000 cost, making your cost win. Your principal office must be in the hub zone, and how they're defining your principal office, it could be based on where the greatest number of employees report. And 35% of your employees must live in the hub zone. I was the hub zone liaison in Philadelphia, and I had to do hub zone site visits here in Atlanta. So I had a company who had his corporate office in Cobb County. For those of you who aren't here in Atlanta, that's a high-end county, I would say. But he had his principal office in Columbus, Georgia. He was able to get that office qualified into the program because he had a contract in Columbus, Georgia, from that military base, and that's where the greatest number of his employees reported to. When I look at this program, I look at this program like what Magic Johnson did. What did Magic Johnson do, someone? Anybody?
Starbucks.
He went into urban areas, built movie theaters, partnered with Starbucks, and hired from within. Ms. Charlotte, you had a question? You had your hand raised?
Yes, I did. How you doing? Good morning.
I'm
I'm having somebody do my hub zone and my woman zone to do my certifications. And
Mhm.
she's asking me to do a letter stating that I don't have any minutes and that I don't have any sales on my business. And I was like, I've never done that before. Before when I was trying to get certified and they didn't approve me. But now since the new system, do you know anything about that?
What was the question again? They're
Like, do
asking.
I have to write a letter stating that I don't have no minutes for my business since I'm a
Yes, you do. That's the same thing for 8A, and based on the entity. If it's a S corporation or C corporation, you need to have bylaws, you need to have board of directors meetings, shareholders meeting minutes,
but I'm a LLC, a one member LLC.
and you don't have to have that documentation on the LLC. They may ask for operating agreement, even though it's just you, because again, they are cross-checking to make sure who's really controlling your entity. That's what SBA is all about. Who's controlling? Whose hands in your back pocket? Did that
Thank
answer?
you. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. For the Hub Zone program, this is a map. If you click on that map and put on your address, it's going to tell you whether or not that business is located in a hub zone. So if you're a home-based business and you're the only person in that business and your business is located in a hub zone, would you qualify into the program, someone? Anybody?
Can you
Yes.
repeat the question?
Yes.
If you're the only person in your company and your home is a home-based business and it's located in a hub zone, the question would be, would you qualify into the program?
Absolutely,
And what makes that qualification?
because your principal office is in the hub zone.
And it's two part of it. You're the only employee of that company that makes up the 35%. It's two components, your office and the employees. This program is designed to build up your community. And oftentimes it does not necessarily means it needs to be in the area that you need to be concerned about. When I look at where I worked at here in Georgia, our office was at the Peachtree Center. So when you look at the Peachtree Center and what's located down there, you got Ritz-Carlton, you have Deloitte, you have Marriott, but it's in a hub zone area. What makes it a hub zone area, someone?
It's the zip code.
The zip code and what else? Look at all these areas. These are the areas that are designated as hub zone. There was a homeless shelter around that corner. Am I correct? So, hub zone areas could be around schools areas, universities. It's based on the Census Bureau. That's how they determine what areas are hub zone. For the women's program, it's broken down into two components, economically disadvantaged and the women's program. The ED, the economically disadvantaged, if you apply into that, you do not have to apply twice for the WOSB component. The economically disadvantaged part of the women's program is mirroring the 8A program. They're going to ask for tax returns. They're going to ask for all the documentations to ensure that you aren't exceeding that 850,000 net worth threshold. And yeah, the economically disadvantaged net worth. For the women's, just their WOSB, they're not going to be asking for your tax returns. They're not going to be asking for your profit and loss statements. So again, they're gauging your economic status on this component here. It's just if you're a woman-owned small business. All of this I need to update. It goes through my SBA certification. You can do it and have a third party to certify you, and there's a fee associated with it. I highly recommend that you do it yourself, and that's part of what we do in our program, because what I found over the years, when you hand it off to a third party, you don't even have access to my SBA certification to that portal, and you need to know what they're updating. And all you're doing is giving them the information anyway to update into that portal. So me, that's my personal preference. Others may not want to have all that time doing it, but in the end, you're still going to have to be the one answering the questions. For the women's program, these are the requirements. All of the women's program and the veterans program, as well as the 8A programs, require that you own at least 51% of that entity. When this became law, I was at Philadelphia, and the whole time that I was there, we were getting all these calls from the men trying to figure out how they can position their wives to become certified. You cannot lie to the government. Hear me now. I had a 8A firm that came into the program up in Philadelphia. They were asking them questions, but when they were assigned to me, I was able to go and conduct a site visit. And the firm, they were doing asphalt pouring. The husband had switched the business over to the wife. When I went to do a site visit, well, it took me a couple of months to even go visit them because they kept putting me off. But when I went there, the wife obviously did not know anything about asphalt pouring. Anytime I asked a question, she was referring to her husband. Um, and she, I think, was from Vietnam. So she wasn't speaking English for the most part. So again, I was able to go back. I had to document. I'm not sure this female is qualified to run this program. And then the next year, they submitted the tax returns because the tax return is where we get you. um, they had listed on the tax returns as the husband being the sales force, but they white out his name and wrote over and put her name in place. So I had to kick her out of the program. The woman must hold the highest office. That's why they're asking for those documentation. They're going to look at your payroll, who's getting paid the most. That's determining who's controlling the business. They also dictate that you must work full time during normal working hours. And it's the same thing that they're asking under the 8A program, but based on that industry and sector, there's ways to get around that. If you're in the janitorial, IT, that may not require a 9 to 5. So you get to explain your working hours. And as it states here, there's no minimum amount of time the business has been operational. Veterans, how many veterans do I have on online? By a show of hands. I thank you guys for your service. We definitely appreciate what you all have contributed, and my fellow employees. That's sometimes a thankless job, but people working for the government and in the military, it's because they care about who we are. For the veterans program, you're certified in SAM, but you also have to be approved by SBA. VA determines your disability as long as you have that. I think it's a DD. What is it?
DD 214.
214 that shows your disability, then you can qualify into that program. There's no term limits, and you also get the opportunity for competitive and sole source contracts in that program as well. Here, and this goes for all of the programs. Any contract that's awarded to a large business, 750,000 or more, they have to submit a subcontracting plan. So there's different ways to get into this, and SBA tracks those agencies on and those prime contractors to make sure that they are meeting subcontracting goals. For the Veterans Program, all of it was transferred over to SBA in 2023. And I think that program, veterans are getting certified in 6 weeks. With the women's program, they have a backlog. For the veterans program, it's pretty much just a checklist. Not that complicated, just paperwork. And I think here is where a lot of confusion comes with small businesses. Everybody tells everybody to go get all these certifications, and everybody's certified up, but not quite sure what to do with all these certifications. So to break it down for you to understand, when you have all of these E's, the MBEs, WBEs, the VBEs, those are certifications that are used when you're marketing to corporations. As you can see here, these are all the federals, and then you have state certifications. DBEs, they are certified by the Department of Transportation for that state, for whatever state that you're in. And then you may have local certifications. And for me, I don't like any of the E's because on the corporate, you don't know who you're marketing to. On the state and local maybe not as much, but on the state, you're always going to be a subcontractor. And so for me, I never had a state contract. For me, it makes sense to start at the federal and then go down to state and local, because once you understand federal procurement, it's going to be easier to compete on state and local, because most of those state and local communities are receiving federal dollars, which means they have to follow certain aspects of federal procurement. Does that make sense to everyone? Any questions on these E's? Again, there's cost to those E certifications, and as I say, with SBAs, they are free. I'm going to take you all to some websites right now to give you a better understanding. Any questions on any of the programs before I start looking at these websites? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay.
I was asking if there is any federal program for federal employee or for RIFT federal employee.
For federal employees?
Yes, or federal employee that were let go by the reduction in workforce.
There's no program for federal employees that's been let go, but what I'm telling the federal employees that have been let go is that you're going to go back to that same agency and you're going to create a team and build a business model that now you're going to go back and sell them your services because you all are the only ones that understand their programs and how to operate it. Does that make sense? What I found with my federal employees is having to deprogram everyone. Because when you're working with the government, that's why I say I can speak from both sides. You're pretty much trained to do that job. And you may not understand the overall functions of everybody within that agency, but you are the ones that understand whatever office you are within that agency, how they function and what their process is. Does that make sense? How many federal employees I have online by show of hand that have been riffed? Okay. All right. Melinda, you've been on the other side for most of your career. How is this? Is this making sense from this side of it?
Definitely. So as a COR, we were pushed to, the preference was to partner with to contract with a small business, right? I would say, out of my 20-year career, probably 80% of the vendors I worked with were small business.
Yeah.
Because it's easier.
Yeah.
It makes the program is a lot easier than trying to, they purposely make it easier for a federal program to work with a small business versus you have to really justify if you're going to work with a large business.
So that's opportunities. Are you all hearing me? Small business is what helps sustain America. I talked about SAM.gov as where you find the opportunities. I don't really like SAM.gov because there's still a lot of bugs in it. I use this website called FBO or samdaily.com. It is a third-party certifier, third-party vendor that posts opportunities. The reason I like samdaily.com is because every day opportunities are posted. And this is my therapy. I go shopping. What's the government buying? And based on what they're buying, based on what's going on politically, you can see the opportunities that are being posted. When I click on here, what you're going to see is the amount of opportunities that are posted for that day. The government, and it's posted based on how the government acquires its services. And the first phase of the government is what they call a sources sought notice, where they're doing a market research to determine if there are any small businesses out there, if there are only women-owned small businesses. And a lot of times, small businesses skip this part because they don't even know what it means. But this becomes the driving force of that acquisition. So, and you're in front of it. So if you click on it, it's going to show you the amount of opportunities by that industry that's posted for that day. I always go into this section because this is a catch-all. And it's going to tell you we're looking for small businesses that can perform this opportunity. And then here is the actual solicitations that are being posted for that day. And when I go in, I look at all industries because it's all about you finding the team that has the subject matter expertise. You don't have to have all these people waiting on contracts. The government allows you to put in what they call contingency hires. Contingent upon award of these contracts, these individuals will be hired for those positions in those contracts. And as you can see, the government buys everything. I just go through here and look at what type of opportunities are they posting. And who do I know with that skill set? I always tell people to go for the low-hanging fruit to get in the game initially, but my goal is to strategically position you to get into SBA's Mentor Protege program, which allows a large business to come in and mentor you with SBA overseeing it, and you get to use their resources and their relationships. So, as I say, the government buys everything. Here's school psychologists. So, there's no need to pigeonhole yourself in this space. I'm just finding people with the skill sets to do the work. And I like to start off with some of these run and done. This is what I call run and done. Do I need to know how to clean carpet someone to go after this opportunity? Yeah? Nay.
Nope.
Anybody?
Nay.
Nope.
Nay, you're just project management. This, as you see here, this is a total small business set aside. The beauty of this, you always have a point of contact with a phone number and an email. This is how you begin to build relationships. In this database, you always want to go back to sam.gov to see their official notice. And they're going to tell you exactly what they want. So this is the information, and they just want your quote. So all you're doing is finding someone, a subcontractor, and where is it? In California? In California. And if there's a site visit to it, have that subcontractor go in and make sure they're representing you. And right here, I like where it says best value. That means they're not trying to lowball you. They're looking for quality as opposed to the lowest price. At the lowest price, they're trying to get a Dollar Tree price out of you. But best value, they're going to base it on that company's past performance. And even when I look at something like this, typically, that's why I say they don't know what they're doing. All of this information is never, ever posted on on this opportunity. It's typically posted in the actual solicitation. Any questions?
So, thank you for this information. My question, as I told you, I have an e-commerce and I have a staffing business. So, the question is, how can my business is based in Beaufort, Georgia, and how can I go to California
You just
and
finding a company in California. It doesn't matter. The government.
and can I go after business that is out of my area, which is staffing, and go to cleaning and
Absolutely.
so, and what about the NICS code that you mentioned in the beginning? They don't look into.
You're gonna have 20 or 25 secondary NAICS codes. You can have a primary, and then you're gonna have 20, 25 secondary codes.
And if the business is already set up, can I add how to add another NICS code into a business that is already registered?
That's something that we go in the class. You can also go and update that in your SAM profile. You have to register in SAM in order to do business with the government. And that's when they're going to ask for your industry codes.
You are really a gem. You have answered to all the hard questions.
You went out. But all of that is covered through our program. We walk you step by step through this. This is the website here where it houses every contract awarded. And this is how we help you to shape a marketing strategy. This is where all your tax dollars are being tracked. Anytime that contracts are awarded, it's posted in one of this database. So I can go by state and see not only contracts, but grants. And people get confused with grants and nonprofits and for-profits. This is all for-profit. Grants are typically for nonprofits. So just to give you an example of what type of opportunities are out here, let me go here. I wanted to show you an example of one of our students and the type of contracts that she won. Motion. So these are examples of some of the low-hanging fruits that she went after. This particular contract here, the government needed, a 3-day meeting space. This is a run and done. The amount that she was awarded was $104,000. The hotel cost was $48,000. So she put her markup in there and won. So when you look at it, this database is telling you everything about that opportunity. Again, it's for a 3-day meeting space. The hotel cost was $48,000. She put her cost in at $104,000. And then when you go down here, it tells you the competition. What do you see here, someone? One. Only one person submitted. The competition is minimum. And the closer they get to September 30th, they just, okay, this looks good. Let me try this. And the place of performance, again, she's in Georgia. But let's go back and look at some of her other contracts. This was a 6-year contract. And the 6-year contract was to, let me see, landscaping. This is what they are paying her each year. And she had a little more competition on this one. But the place of performance is in Florida. All right. She's located in Georgia. All you're doing is managing the process. Is that making sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yes. Huh?
Yes.
And again, people want to know, how do I make money? I'm providing you with one of my cost proposals, and that's what I have in the program. All these templates from that first business, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. That just follow the blueprint. It's been a successful blueprint for many. This was a contract I came in second, and typically people aren't going to give you this information because it's proprietary information. But I wanted you all to see how you really make money in this contract. You can see it was a $28 million contract, and these were the positions that I was hiring on this contract. And this was the rates. The government's going to reimburse you for hiring those individuals because they know it costs you to employ people. You also are allocated overhead costs. That's where my salary came out, and that's where the partner's salary came out, and rent and other things. right here is what they call other direct costs. It was passed through. I had a subcontractor, and then you have another pool called general administrative expenses that I'll be getting reimbursed for because and part of my salary came out of that pool as well. I needed to hire a bookkeeper, an accountant, an attorney. Some of that cost is in this pool. Had I won this contract, this would have been my profit. So after everything is paid for, this would have been the profit each year on that contract. And this is what I would have taken home had I won. Make sense to everybody?
Yes.
So we use this as a marketing tool. When I also look here at this database, when you go here, type of set-asides, you can create a marketing strategy, especially on service contracts, based on when those contracts are expiring. You see here, reserved for small businesses. You can see here, 8A sole source. These contracts will never ever be advertised on sam.gov. So we create a marketing strategy around this database, and you identifying companies that are graduating from that program that you can potentially partner up with, because once they graduate, they cannot keep those contracts. But you're also going to use this as a strategy to team up with a mentor that already has the infrastructure, relationships in place to leverage your business. Melinda mentioned school.com. I've just launched my own school community. And for me, what I was finding was businesses, after they completed my program, and we have a lot of solopreneurs, everyone go away. This community to me is the icing on the cake, because now that everyone is trained, they can come back in and we start partnering, start collaborating. People understand the power of partnering. It's too hard to do this by yourself. I'm going to actually put this link into the chat. But when I look at this map, that's what made me buy into this. As I look at the members that are in our community, we should never ever have to leave, because if I'm here in Miami and I see a contract in Phoenix, I know there's a point of contact that could be boots on the ground. It makes sense to me. And now everyone is speaking the same language, and we're now all collaborating. So we've broken them up into industries so that the community, if I'm looking for an IT person, I know someone that I can contact. And all of these are the low-hanging fruit that's out here right now. Because I know this is the peak time of the government awarding its contracts. Any questions? Let me do that right now before I forget. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna put this into the chat. So please come into the community and join and just get engaged. This part is free right now. It will become a subscription come October 1. But the whole goal is to get people connected and we collaborate. It's too hard to do this by yourself. And then here, let's go, hold on. Let me go into the program. Now, the program that I've created is broken down into 3 modules. Hold on. 3 modules. Business ready, government ready, and contract ready. And people always ask me if I've already done this. I'm already registered. I've already gotten my LLC. And when I started this earlier, because I'm 10 years into this game in my business, I realized I needed to have everybody start at the same place because those who have entities don't have their information together and you don't understand or don't know what SBA is going to be looking for when you start applying into those programs. So I've created templates so that if you're an S corporation or you choose to be a S corporation, or if you're an LLC, I have templates for bylaws, templates for operating agreements. And my goal is that once you're registered in SAM, that you can start competing. I currently have a student that won her first contract 2 weeks ago. She's still in class. They had her last class last week. She submitted her bid June 16. She won it 3 weeks later, last week. And it was for $120,000 delivering rock salt. Her background is network engineering. She just found a subcontractor and she actually put her markup on that bid 50%. That's how you start getting your cash flow. That's the low hanging fruit, run and done. So that's what we focus in on Business Ready. And again, I have templates for you to use in responding to those types of bids. Government Ready is all about strategy. I like to say here, we're getting you ready for the prom, and Government Ready, now you're ready for the prom. Now, how are you going to date? What's your strategy? How do you identify your partners? Here, you're going to have a whole team deliverable where at the end of this module, you're presenting to me as the government. Contract Ready is all around the 8A program and the Mentor Protege program and the business plan that you will need in both programs that's going to get you approved into those programs and helping you to understand how you're going to leverage all of your certifications. The program starts at $24.97. If you bring in a second person, it is $1,000. I'm having a early bird special up until August 15 with 200 off. Again, if you bring in a second person on the team, that's $34.97. That second person is $1,000. So you're still saving costs. My goal is to minimize your costs. And if I could get the government to pay for this, it's even better because, again, I've worked with most of the resource partners at SBA and understanding their mindsets. They are W-2 employees, and most of them have not run a business. So they're limited to what they can share with you. The next class will start Thursday, August 21st. They're scheduled from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. You meet once a week and you'll have homework assignments and deliverables. To support you, we also have office hours on Tuesday, every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. That's when all the cohorts come together. And if you need additional assistance in completing your homework, that's on Thursdays from 6 to 7. These are some of the deliverables that you will be completing in the first module. And in the second module, this would be a sample of the deliverables that you'll complete in the Government Ready module. You have any? And I think I seen Danielle. She just completed the class. Danielle, you have any feedback for any of the ones that are online right now?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Watts, I would just say it would be wise to stay up with the homework. And sometimes it does require that you review the videos, her information. maybe more than even one time, because it's a lot of information. And also collaborating with your groups or cohorts. I think that makes a significant difference because we all have our weaknesses and strengths. And so coming together, we can sometimes, help each other out and remind each other of deadlines and even with the homework. So I think that's critical.
And what is your background again?
Family nurse practitioner.
Okay. And are you now open to step outside of your background?
Absolutely. And I think it requires that. And, the training and the instruction that you've given us allows us to do that. Whereas in the very beginning, I wouldn't have never thought of working outside of healthcare.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do I have any questions for anybody?
Yes, I have a question. If you don't have a business, or if you're a brand new business, or you have a business set up but haven't generated a lot of revenue, is this a program for that type of person?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
Yeah, Paula, I have a quick question about source of sought notices. I've been submitting a ton of source of sought notices to start creating that relationship with the procurement specialists. And some procurement specialists respond, but some don't, which is obviously part of business, and I totally understand that. The ones that don't, how do you recommend we interact with them strategically to ultimately
You
understand?
stay at the squeaky wheel. Like, I can ignore you after 1 or 2 emails.
Right.
That third email, I know I need to answer you because you're keeping a paper trail on me. Melinda, can you recommend any suggestions? Because people in Melinda's positions are the ones that I'm trying to get to. So do you have any strategy that you could recommend to small businesses in trying to get to people like you?
So I think a lot of small businesses reached me through like one of the websites that you showed, or maybe it's a different one, where we have to post what we're planning to contract over the next year. So small businesses would look through that and find my contact information and reach out to me. And I was always open to set up like a half-hour phone consultation, call with them, just to, because we're looking for businesses that can do the work.
Right.
You know, and whatever would make my job easier, I'm all
Right.
for. So
And you
yeah.
coming in at least understanding the language. They don't have time to train you on how to run your small business. They expect if you win that contract, you are prepared and ready to go. This is another website, acquisition.gov, where they have the forecast. And this is another way to get in front of the contracts as well. So if I go to HUD, they've updated these websites. I'm kind of liking how they're doing it. You can go in and see what opportunities they are forecasting for that fiscal year. So now you're able to get in front of the contracts before they're advertised. And it's telling you when it's going to be advertised, and it's giving you a point of contact, right? So if I am trying to get in front of this, and when it's in yellow, meaning they posted it, you cannot contact them because it's unfair advantage. But before here, once they posted this, and I know this is a new contract, and they need retirement plaques, and they're giving me a price point, then I can now start lining up my vendors, but reaching out to that Cheryl and asking how many plaques are you anticipating on this buy? So, but by the time it's advertised, I've already aligned myself up with the vendors. Makes sense?
Yeah. Paula, I was going to mention part of why I would do that as core is because some of the paperwork I have to fill out is the market research that I've done before this award gets made. So these conversations, when I'm allowed to talk to vendors, helps me fill out my market research report.
There you go. And all of that is monitored by SBA, right? There's another component at SBA called the Office of Government Contracts. Again, SBA is horrible in marketing their programs, so I'm helping them market their programs. The procurement center representatives, these is a key component of your marketing strategy. The procurement center representative oversees the agencies. So what happens once they start putting their acquisition strategy together for each year, it all is sent to the procurement center representative over that agency. And they have to review and make sure there's enough contracts set aside for small businesses. And so the agencies are scared of these people because they can stop their contract in the midst of it if there's not enough contracts set aside. So part of my strategy in teaching you is you're getting to know these individuals that are over these agencies because they're going to be the ones that know every opportunity that comes out every year from that agency. Makes sense, everybody?
Yes.
I know I gave y'all fire hose here.
Ms. Paul, I wanted to ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to know, I know I definitely want to take the class. I don't know if this is the right question to ask, but if anybody else is really serious and wanted to come on board, I'm looking for a partner. I have somebody that said it's going to be a partner, but I'm looking for a backup plan. So if anybody else is serious and we get that $1,000 off, y'all, I'm here. I'm Falami Irvine. I'm in Philadelphia. So I'm looking for a backup partner. That I have somebody that said they're going to come on board, but I ain't going to put all my eggs in one basket. So if you serious, I'm serious. And can we
Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put it
I would
in
like
the
to
chat.
partner with you.
Y'all connect. I'm not in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Melinda, you have your hands raised.
Yeah, this has been really great, Paula. Do you have any metrics on people, the number of people that have gone through your program and what the success rate has been?
That's been challenging. I'm hoping
Yeah.
now through school.com that's going to help me gather that data better because people don't come back and say I've won, but I know I've at least 20 or 30 people that have been really successful in the 8A and outside in winning small business contracts. But to give you an actual metrics number, I have not been able to capture that data.
Yeah, thank you.
Danielle, you had a question.
Yes, Miss Watts, I just wanted to add something. I just wanted to say, as far as the class, the didactic information, there's no way that we could have gathered any or most of this information without Miss Watts' help. So I just want to make it very clear that this instruction is invaluable. And I don't know that I would ever have been able to even look at any contracts had it not been with her assistance. So I just wanted to add that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't ask her to come on and do that, but thank you. Thank you, Danielle.
You're welcome, Ms. Watts.
All right. Can I get 3 takeaways and we can close it out? Any takeaways?
I'm Falami Irvine. I'm definitely convinced your knowledge and the information you provided here. I know I'm definitely going to take the class.
Okay. Thank you.
The takeaway is it's not your skill set as far as what contract you focus on. It's being a project manager and you can have other people do it.
It's the CEO. That's what a CEO do. Once I won that first $1 million contract, I wasn't doing event planning. I had 4 people. And so I went from a project manager to running a multi-million-dollar company and didn't understand operations of business. So I'm determined that no one else have to go through my pain. All right, one more takeaway and we can close it out. Please put your your email in there if you want a copy of this recording, and I will share it with you this afternoon.
Good morning. Thank you very much. It was very informative. So a couple of questions. Are you still based in Georgia or where are you?
I am located here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, you are my neighbor then. So the question that I have, you show some numbers, but the spreadsheet was so small. And my question is, can we have an idea of numbers in terms of projects that was contracted was won and the profits and how long it took from finding the contract, submitting, how long it took and
again, I think those are kind of challenges. It's almost like the government, right? The government would say, I was rated on goals. How many people did I talk to? Didn't matter if the outcome was. If I went to a workshop and I talked to 2,000 people, I get credit for talking for 2,000 people. And it's the same thing here. I can't measure people's behavior. Some people take it and run with it and apply it, and others don't. So it's hard to gauge who's actually applying. That's why I created the school.com, because now I'm on them. Here's the bid. Submit your bid. Submit your bid. So we're getting better with that as well.
Do you have any like social events that you all do or?
Yes, we are working on that. We are building and we're growing. And what I've done, and that's what I'm telling my federal employees, I want y'all to do the same thing that I've done with my business model. I have all the retirees from SBA on my team as master trainers. So, and coaches. My federal employees, y'all stack up those resumes. Stack up your team, and you're going to go back to those government contractors. Y'all are gold. Y'all just don't understand the goldness that you are. Okay.
I
Yeah.
have another comment. I just want to thank you for this because I've worked with my sister for 4 years. About a year ago, I left, but she's graduating from the 8A program this year. And the thing about her, she's won millions and millions of dollars. And because there was a mentor that was a demolition guy, and when he graduated, he grabbed onto her. So she didn't even want to deal with the 8A program. So she kind of subbed it to him and all that. But had she had this kind of knowledge, now that she's graduating, she would have known I should have been kind of preparing someone or whatever. So the fact that she was able to be that successful, just not even know what she was doing in the program that you're sharing, I'm like, wow, so I can start, here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, you guys, thank you. And I'll send the recording out, and I hope you all become a part of the community. And thank you, my alumni, Marlene and Danielle, for jumping in. And let's don't get distracted by the chaos, because if we stay and focus on what's going on, we have no control up there. That chaos is going to be the chaos. And for me, it's still the same, regardless of who's in office, having grown up in that DC area. Typically, the Republicans, they outsource and privatize. Democrats, they hire big government. So the money is still going to flow regardless of who's in office, and the work has to be done. And my whole thing now, we haven't seen anything like this before, where they're coming in and literally dissolving agencies, but what we are going to do is just follow the money. Where is the money going from? And with AI, how many of you are using AI as a function and part of your process? With AI,
Yes.
there's no stopping. That's a whole game changer. One, because they haven't regulated it to a certain degree. And you don't have to think. That's why the young lady that's currently in class, she submitted 20 bids in the last 3 weeks. It's a numbers game right now. And you got to put your name in the pot in to be able to play. People are scared or fearful of even competing, even after they take in all of this information. I poured my heart into it, but people are afraid. And the only way that you're going to learn is to put your name in the pot. And the government, Melinda, you're not mean. Everybody's afraid of the government, right?
I'm
But
very
you're
scary.
not, huh?
I'm very scary.
Yeah, but they're not. They're people. And it's building relationships. So, I thank you guys. Thank you for spending your Saturday morning with me. All right.
Thank you, Paula. Bye.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna put my number in the chat. If anybody have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out. And with that said, that concludes this session. All right.
Thanks again. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.